न वक्त ने कहा रुकने के लिए, न कदमों ने कहा थमने के लिए, तो क्यों रुक जाऊं मैं जब चलते जाना मुझे पसंद है। इस जमीन पे मेरा भी हक है।
पलकों पे सपने सजाए चल पड़े हैं हम, देखना उम्मीदों को पंख लगाए उड़ रहे हैं हम, देखना हौसले भर दिल में अपने जीत जाएंगे, बंदिशें अब तोड़ सारी मुस्कुराएंगे। लो करते हैं वादा हम अपने आप से, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है, हक है, हक है, बदलाव की रुत है, रुत है, रुत है, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है, हक है, हक है, बदलाव की रुत है, रुत है, रुत है।
ना सूरज ने छोड़ा रोशन करना, ना बारिश ने मुझे भिगाना, तो क्यों ना खेल खिलाऊं मैं। जब जिंदगी जीना मुझे पसंद है, खुश रहने का मुझे भी हक है। ना आईने ने मुंह मोड़ा, ना कभी मैंने अपना साथ छोड़ा, तो क्यों ना खुद को रिझाऊं मैं। जब ये रंगो रौनक मुझे पसंद है, मुझ पे सिर्फ मेरा ही हक है।
वक्त आया है बढ़ते कदमों से, कदम हमको मिलाना है। दिल में जज्बा है हर एक ख्वाहिश को अब पूरी कर दिखाना है। कुछ गिरते कुछ संभलते मंजिल पा लेंगे, कह दो जहां से हर ख्वाब सच कर देंगे। लो कर लो तुम इकरार अपने आप से, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है, हक है, हक है, बदलाव की रुत है, रुत है, रुत है, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है, हक है, हक है, बदलाव की रुत है, रुत है, रुत है।
मेरे शब्दों ने नहीं कहा कि मुझे मत चुन, ना मेरे ख्वाबों ने कहा कि मुझे मत बुन, तो क्यों ना सपने देखूं मैं जब उनके लिए लड़ना मुझे पसंद है। क्यों चुप रहूं मैं जब आवाज पे मेरा भी हक है। हाँ, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है।
मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है, हक है, हक है, बदलाव की रुत है, रुत है, रुत है, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है, हक है, हक है, बदलाव की रुत है, रुत है, रुत है, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है, हक है, हक है, बदलाव की रुत है।
न वक्त ने कहा रुकने के लिए, न कदमों ने कहा थमने के लिए, तो क्यों रुक जाऊं मैं जब चलते जाना मुझे पसंद है। इस जमीन पे मेरा भी हक है।
पलकों पे सपने सजाए चल पड़े हैं हम, देखना उम्मीदों को पंख लगाए उड़ रहे हैं हम, देखना हौसले भर दिल में अपने जीत जाएंगे, बंदिशें अब तोड़ सारी मुस्कुराएंगे। लो करते हैं वादा हम अपने आप से, मुझ पे मेरा ही।
Hello everyone, my name is Ishita.
And my name is Zoya. We are very excited to welcome you all at the very first edition of 2020 Asia Pacific WEPs Awards, brought to you by UN Women, funded by the European Union. The 2020 Asia Pacific WEPs Awards are constituted to recognize exemplary business leaders and initiatives to empower women at the workplace, marketplace, and communities. During the next 90 minutes, you will hear from our panel of eminent speakers, jurors, and the business leaders that have won this year's awards by setting an impeccable record to promote gender diversity and inclusion. Without further ado, I will call upon Ms. Sohaila Khan, Country Program Manager, We Empower Asia, UN Women, to take us through this entire initiative.
Thank you so much, Zoya and Ishita, and a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us today. The 2020 Asia Pacific WEPs Award is celebrated to commemorate the 10th anniversary of Women's Empowerment Principles. 10 years ago, UN Women and UN Global Compact came together to create something that will change the way businesses conduct themselves. With a lot of stakeholders' consultations around the globe, women's empowerment principles were created to guide the businesses how to empower women at workplace, marketplace, and communities. And today, globally, over 3,800 companies have signed women's empowerment principles. And in India, in a short span of last 8 months, we have 150 companies that have committed to women's empowerment principles. And I have personally spoken to the representatives from each of these companies, and the motivation, the drive to work and engage on reviewing their policies and practices, to participate in capacity building initiatives, to make themselves aware about the challenges in enabling women's participations in the business value chains, or to join us in our communications and advocacy drives by making themselves available to speak in public about the issue is commendable. And therefore, we decided to seize this moment, this opportunity to recognize the exemplary efforts of such businesses through these awards. And this would not have been possible without the funding support of the European Union to We Empower Asia program that enabled UN Women to strengthen its work with the private sector to empower women in the businesses. And please allow me to share that we have received a phenomenal response from across the stakeholders. We are very proud to partner with the Women's Entrepreneurship Platform of Niti Aayog on UN's Investor Consortium initiative. With the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, we launched COVID-19 Shri Shakti Challenge for Women Businesses. With the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, we worked together with them on engendering National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. And with brands such as H&M and Chibo, we work together to disrupt the textile industry by women-led solutions to their sustainability challenges. And moving forward, we are now focusing on working with the companies that have signed women's empowerment principles to implement them, but also trying to get more companies to join this global movement called Women's Empowerment Principles. And today's event is a token of recognition and appreciation of the wonderful work that the businesses are doing to empower women at the workplace, marketplace, and communities. And within this backdrop, I invite you to this wonderful event. Thank you once again, and over to you, Zoya.
As our next speaker, I'd like to welcome a man who needs no introduction, the architect behind India's development, Mr. Amitabh Kant, CEO, Niti Aayog. We are truly thankful to Mr. Kant for being a jury member for WEPs Awards in India, and that speaks volumes about his commitment towards the agenda of gender equality and women's empowerment. Mr. Kant, however, couldn't join us today. He has therefore sent a video message, and now I request our team to play the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to address this august gathering. The private sector is a very critical and a crucial partner for building an inclusive and equitable workforce, and the women's empowerment principles provide a crucial framework for business entities to work towards this goal. A framework such as this is very, very important in ensuring that both men and women can contribute and benefit equally in the workplace, thus helping further the Sustainable Development Goals agenda in a very big way. Given that gender parity is still an aspiration, the role and importance of women in the workplace, especially from the entrepreneurship and economic perspective, cannot be stressed enough. Ladies and gentlemen, a decade ago, a seminal McKinsey study covering UK, France, Germany, Spain, Sweden, Norway, and the BRIC countries, entitled Women Matter, concluded that companies with a higher proportion of women in leadership positions posted about 41% higher returns on equity and 56% better operating results. In the Indian context, McKinsey's Gender Parity Report 2018 noted that if India is able to address the gender inequality, we could add about $770 billion to the GDP, or about 18% more than its business as usual scenario. For India and the other countries in the Asia-Pacific region, the importance of mainstreaming these principles and for raising awareness cannot be stressed enough. In this regard, I would like to acknowledge the importance of the groundwork that UN Women, the European Union, and more specifically the We Empower Asia team have been painstakingly carrying out. As a panelist for these awards, it was incredible to see some of the exceptional efforts and initiatives that are being undertaken by businesses to further the women empowerment principles. I would like to extend my heartiest congratulations to the winners for their path-breaking contributions to further the women's empowerment principles. As pioneers, the true extent of the impact of your efforts and the large-scale behavioral change that all of you are catalyzing today will be felt for future generations to come. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
We'd like to thank Mr. Kant for highlighting the importance of women's leadership and their participation in the workforce. Women's effective participation as leaders have proven to be beneficial for families, society, businesses, and economy. We are very pleased to introduce our next speaker, who is a close ally in our vision to create a gender-just and equal world. Mr. Deepak Premnarayan, Chairperson, UN Women Business Sector Advisory Council, India, Executive Chairperson, ICS Group, Chairperson, Miracle Feet, India, is a successful business leader and a passionate advocate for women's rights. Mr. Premnarayan, thank you so much for joining us today, and may we please request you to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I'm honored to be here today on behalf of the Business Sector Advisory Council. Our main focus has been, since the council was launched, is to focus on gender equality and women economic empowerment. So in this journey, let me quickly summarize for you. The first thing that we did was, we are in the process of launching women's livelihood bonds. And why is that so? Over the last decade, there have been almost 40 million women entrepreneurs who, through these self-help groups, where self-help group, for those of you who are not familiar, there are 5 women in the group and 4 stand guarantor for the 5th. And the maximum they can borrow is about $700. Now, over the last few years, there are several women entrepreneurs who have graduated and now want to fly, but unfortunately, they are not able to access institutional credit because they don't have collateral, they don't have assets to go on collateral, nor do they have a provider for underwriting. So as a result, they're not able to get monies to grow. So what we've done now is to give them access to capital with a partnership that's launched with the World Bank, UN Women, that's the BSAC, and the State Bank of India, which is a sovereign bank. The objective is to raise capital from the open market in India, and the target is to raise $70 million to start with in 5 tranches, but to provide working capital, which is in the region of about 9.5%. Because today, when a woman, when she graduates from this self-help group and she wants to go for capital, she's not able to get any money because, as I said, she doesn't have collateral. So she goes out and borrows money, anything between 18 to 30%. And that itself sets her up for failure. I can name a particular case of an entrepreneur in Aurangabad, which is in the state of Maharashtra. She supplies food to canteens and she now needs capital, but she doesn't have bookkeeping. She doesn't have a bank account, which is being proper, and she's not able to generate these monies coming in. So the corporate sector has got together and we are launching these bonds with the State Bank. State Bank has initially provided a corpus of $15 million. And through the ecosystem of the World Bank and UN Women, the risk factors have been taken care of. There is a technical criteria to select the women entrepreneurs. There is also a team which mentors each entrepreneur for 20 days in a year and provides them skill sets in terms of bookkeeping, in terms of marketing and sales strategy, in terms of legal and compliance issues, etc. Now, as far as raising the capital goes, we are taking 2 approaches. We've initially just tapped Noel Tata, who's a member of our board, and he has signed in almost about $5 million through 3 of his companies. They would place monies in this fund, and they would get an annual return of 3% per annum over the next 5 years. And we've also tapped wealth managers who have expanded in terms of reaching out to a larger target audience to get them to participate in this philanthropy route, but they would also get 3% per annum, and their money is guaranteed because the World Bank provides the first loss guarantee. So from that perspective, people want to do philanthropy and their money is guaranteed and they get a decent return. Now the women entrepreneur will now have access without collateral to get monies to enable her to succeed in her journey. And as I said, there is technical support that is also provided by the UN Women and the World Bank. If I might quickly also just mention is that in terms of the WEPs, we at the board, the Business Sector Advisory Council board have formed 4 committees. And one is the SME MSME committee, is to assist women entrepreneurs to become members of the supply chain to companies, let's say like Unilever or Tata's, in terms of consumer products, or it could be even more in terms of sophisticated products. And the identification of these women entrepreneurs has been underway. But let me share 2 things very quickly with you because time is a constraint, is that Voltas, for its factory in Gujarat, is only getting women to participate as workers. And UN Women, within a span of a fortnight, got them almost, if I mistake not, 118 women. Also with Tata Power in the state of Madhya Pradesh, 5,000 women have been skilled to become entrepreneurs on solar panels in terms of fitting them and in terms of maintenance contracts. We have 3 other verticals, and the other one is in terms of health, where Kiran Mazumdar of Biocon, and I see that today her company has won 2 awards too. Her company, and she has launched this initiative where we are out to train women to become technicians so they can perform diagnostic tests, and the kit is being provided to them free of cost. There are other initiatives also. If I might cover, is in terms of digital economy, other than the usual BPO in tier 3 and tier 4 markets, it's also got to do through NICA, a more sophisticated form of participation of women skilling with the digital side. Last but not the least, we have a committee also on violence against women. Unfortunately, Amitabh is not there, but it's his brother-in-law who chairs that committee, and he's to be ex-DG police from Maharashtra. And the SOPs are in place, etc. But we are talking about protecting women. I spoke to one of my grandkids this morning, and she said, listen, don't disturb me. She's 4 years old. I'm on a school call, and let's not have fun at this time. And she disconnected. So we talk about protecting women. I think time has come to protect men also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prem Narayan, for your insights and strategies. Promoting women's empowerment and entrepreneurship is critical for enhanced productivity and economic growth. And your ideas will help many of our viewers find new ways of promoting businesses that work for women. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
We are now very honored to have with us today His Excellency Ugo Astuto, Ambassador, European Union Envoy to India, a firm proponent of democracy, multilateralism, international cooperation, and gender equality. Your Excellency, please grace the august gathering with your address.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's indeed a great pleasure to be here today with you all for the Women's Economic Empowerment Principal Awards organized by UN Women. And we are here to recognize exemplary business practices for gender equality in India. The European Union is very proud to be a partner to UN Women. And together we have launched the program We Empower Asia, aimed at encouraging the private sector to expand participation and business opportunities for women in 7 Asian countries, including India. It's a fact that women make up half of the world's population, but in most places they do not make up half of its workforce. Today, less than 50% of working-age women in the world have jobs, compared to 75% of working-age men. In India, the female labor force participation has actually declined to 20%. And worldwide, women only make 77% for every dollar earned by men. So, in short, investing in gender equality is not only the right thing to do, it's also the smart thing to do, beyond being a basic issue of justice and fairness. Because when more women work, economies grow, and the positive effects benefit everyone. Closing the gender gap in the workforce could add $28 trillion to the global GDP by 2025, according to some estimates by McKinsey. So women's economic empowerment depends on commitment and support at all levels. We at the EU, we recently adopted the new action plan on gender equality and women's empowerment up to 2025 that we call GAP 3. And through this action plan, we call for a more gender equal world where women and girls can fully enjoy their human rights and build fairer and more prosperous societies where everyone has a space to thrive and no one is left behind. We are determined to lead by example through systematic gender mainstreaming in all our activities, a transformative approach, and by establishing gender responsive leadership among all EU actors. Strengthening and forging partnerships and alliance, and in particular with the private sector, is also key. Business has a stake in women's empowerment and the responsibility for women's empowerment, and to make gender equality a reality. More gender balanced workplaces will also lead to more successful and more efficient companies. So it is essentially a win-win situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your insightful message. Women's empowerment is a prerequisite to equitable and inclusive growth. Private sector has a key role to play in fueling it and thereby benefiting societies and economies as a whole. We are now delighted to have Ms. Renata, the UN Resident Coordinator, with us. Ms. Renata, may I please request you to address the gathering?
Thank you so much, distinguished guests and speakers, friends and colleagues. Very warm welcome to all of you to this 2020 Women's Empowerment India Awards. And I'd like to start by expressing my deep gratitude and thanks to UN Women, to Susan Ferguson and her fantastic team at UN Women for pulling this together, as well as a big thank you to the UN Global Compact and to the European Union, of course, and to the jury members and to all of you who participated in bringing this important event together during this very challenging year. I can really think of no other period in our recent history when women's work has been more important to humanity's well-being and indeed to our very survival. Women have been at the heart of the response of the COVID-19 pandemic from the start, both in the homes around the world and also on the front lines of the battle to save lives and to soothe suffering. 70% of frontline health workers globally are women. They administer the bulk of the testing and contact tracing, the lab work, the provision of care to the sick. They're saving lives day in and day out. And despite this fact, half of the world's women face legal restrictions on having the same job choices as men. It's so obvious these days what the world owes to women in response to this pandemic. But it's also equally obvious how much better our world would be if barriers to women's equality in the workplace were lifted. And I'm talking about barriers such as equal opportunities to work, equal pay for equal work, empowerment at the workplace, etc. By lifting these barriers and equalizing conditions of work, not only would the earnings of women increase, which of course is good for them and good for their families, but so would the overall health of the economy improve. By some accounts, India's GDP could increase as much as 27% by closing the gender workforce gap. The winners of the awards this year, they know this. They have demonstrated it concretely. They've shown us that investing in women is not merely good for women, which of course is a noble enough goal in and of itself, but it's also good for business, good for society, and good for growth. They've shown us how to translate the women's empowerment principles into business in action, in boardrooms, through supply chains, in communities where businesses operate, through CSR and development activities, and at the core of their business practices. These awards form an important part of the UN's engagement with private companies and industry leaders to achieve greater gender equality and equity in the world of work through collaborative learning, alliances like the Unstereotype Alliance and the Global Innovation Coalition for Change, and the UN's work with Niti Aayog on the Investor Consortium for Women's Entrepreneurs. Because we firmly believe that the faster Indian businesses can close the gender gap, the faster and the better India's economy will recover. I'm incredibly honored to celebrate with you today those on the forefront of these changes. Congratulations to all the winners of the awards and all the participants. I know your example will inspire others to do more for a gender equal new normal in India and around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Renata, for sharing your views on private sector as an ally in our pursuit for gender equality. No doubt, businesses are prominent levers and game changers for women's empowerment. Moving on, we are now very, very delighted to have Ms. Susan Ferguson, the country representative for UN Women India. Susan has recently joined the UN Women India country office and is a firm advocate of equality for women and girls. Susan, may I now request you to please say a few words.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your welcome, and good evening or good afternoon, everyone who is here with us today. So business leaders, government leaders, women leaders, and of course our partners, the EU, and also other UN colleagues, especially our RC. It's lovely to be here. Thank you. So UN Women was created 10 years ago to bring together resources and really consolidate support for gender equality and the empowerment of women. And we've made a lot of strides in those 10 years towards institutionalizing gender equality in a range of different really important development initiatives like the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, with generous support from donors such as the European Union, who have really enabled us to walk the talk on gender equality and leverage UN Women's strong partnerships with government, civil society, corporates, to respond to the most urgent national priorities, including those in the wake of COVID-19. In a short span, as Sohaila said at the beginning of this, in a short span of 6 months, more than 100 companies have signed up to the Women's Empowerment Principles, which is really extraordinary, I think. It shows, I think, that we are all sort of hitting the right mark and the right chord in engaging with the private sector. And, you know, of course, as Renata has so well said, that one of the most influential players in economic growth, of course, is the private sector. So it's so crucial to look at this issue of women's empowerment within the private sector. The private sector, of course, is the engine for economic growth, markets and employment, all areas that women are engaged in and need to be engaged more to really draw more equality and benefits for women themselves and their families and communities. If we had more women in influential leadership positions in the private sector, more women with viable micro, small, medium and large businesses, this of course would improve women's lives immediately and the lives of their families, and it would also continue to drive economic growth for everyone. Sometimes I think that women are the game changer in this COVID environment and in the post-COVID world. As our EU ambassador has said, that we know that actually if women were engaged to the same extent as men, it would add enormous value to the world economy. So that's one reason why the big global development frameworks such as the Sustainable Development Goals do emphasize private sector influence within them. So today we're really glad to celebrate and recognise those corporate leaders who've really taken extraordinary steps to promote gender equality here in India. We really look forward to engaging with you all and many more to leverage your thought leadership and support you to realise women's empowerment in the workplace, marketplace and communities. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. And I just wanted to say right up front, congratulations to everyone for taking this journey with us as partners and to the awardees that we will hear of shortly. Huge thank you to everyone in my team, the award panel, friends, partners who have really put this event together today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan, for your valuable thoughts and ideas. We are sure that under your leadership, UN Women will achieve new heights. With this, we come to the close of the plenary session of today's ceremony and we move on to the awards section. The response to the call for applications for WEPs Awards in India has been overwhelming. UN Women received applications from 91 companies applying under 6 categories: leadership commitment, youth leadership, gender-inclusive workplace, gender-responsive marketplace, community and industry engagement, and COVID-19 action. It must have been quite a task for the jury to review them, and we must thank our panel of judges for their time and commitment. Over 60 applications shortlisted for the awards were reviewed by our esteemed panel of judges: Mr. Amitabh Kant, CEO Niti Aayog, Ms. Sangeeta Reddy, President FICCI, Ms. Dagmar Walter, Country Director, ILO, Professor Ingrid Srinath, Director, Center for Social Impact and Philanthropy, Ashoka University, Mr. Priya Paul, Founder, Josh Talks, and Mr. Mihir Sharma, Senior Fellow and Head, Economy and Growth Program, Observer Research Foundation. Thank you, judges, for your invaluable guidance and judgment.
We now move to our first category of awards. The Leadership Commitment Award is being given to leaders over the age of 30 who have set strong corporate commitments, progressive policies, regulations or practices that aim to promote gender equality in the workplace, marketplace, and in the community. We have with us one of our esteemed judges, Ms. Sangeeta Reddy, President FICCI. She has made significant contribution in the healthcare sector and as a woman leader, brought the industry together while building consensus for development. Ms. Reddy, as a pioneering leader and global health influencer, why do you think that commitment at the highest level is necessary for promoting women's empowerment and gender equality in the corporate sector?
So good afternoon, good morning. It's wonderful to be with all of you. I believe it's truly critical for us to focus on making a difference, making an impact, and using every methodology possible to do this. And I'll give you just one simple statistic. I think Susan referred to it earlier when she said that there's a price we pay for gender inequality. And actually the number is that while women account for 50% of the population, they account for only 37% of the GDP. And this discrepancy robs the world economy of $12 trillion in wealth. And seeing the way we are in the midst of COVID, I think it's very important for us to use every methodology possible. And in India, unfortunately, the figure goes even lower in that women in India contribute only 19% of GDP, even though they are 27% of the workforce. The last thing why I believe it's very important for us to take this holistic push at every level is that when you create a certain level of support or policy, then women rise and contribute. And because of the policy decision on women leaders in boards, the number of women in boards has risen by 4.5% in the last 3 years. So directionally, we're moving correctly. Now we also need to discuss how can we accelerate the pace. But ultimately, I also want to add one last line, that this goes beyond the economic impact. This goes to a deep societal impact. And that's why FICCI has created a women's empowerment initiative called the Greater 50. Because I believe that while women in India are only 48% of the population, their contribution is already making them the greater 50%. So.
Thank you so much, Ms. Reddy, for those words. But if I may just take a little more of your time, what has been your impression of the different initiatives under this category?
So like was rightly observed, I think it was very, very difficult for all the judges to really figure out, who to mark and how to mark. Every initiative was inspiring. Many of them were deeply impactful, and so many of them were very innovative. I remember something called Fair Welcome, which is designed to help women colleagues during their maternity phase at 3 different levels, help them in the transition, stay connected with, and help them come back to work. Because if society truly believes that children are important, that women have a critical role to play in that, let's put an initiative to help the woman while she's at home taking care of the child, who's a contribution to society and the world, and therefore support. So I love that one. There was Neem School under Neem Trees. That was also, it was about value education for young girls. That was very powerful. Reality check, I think that was significant. This is an interactive game which allows children to become gender sensitive at a very young age. So it's breaking the stereotypes of the girls go into the kitchen to help cook and the boys go out and play cricket and do all the fun stuff. So this broke those stereotypes, and it did it in a gamification manner. So I think this is foundational education for a stronger future and a better world. So while all of them were significant, these 3 kind of stood out for me.
Right. And what initiatives would you like to see companies spearheading in the future to promote women's leadership, including youth leadership?
So I think this is complex, it's multidimensional. And so under FICCI's Greater 50%, we actually have an initiative called Being Wise, where we're going into corporates and doing training for corporates on how they can be wise and therefore be gender sensitive. And it's a simple checklist from things like, do you have, toilets? Do you appreciate, some of the needs of women at a workplace? What is your maternity policy? What is your night shift policy? And so I think if we enable at one level, create mentorship at the next level, and if possible, if we can ensure that we reserve a certain category only for a few years till women are able to break the glass ceiling and it becomes part of the culture of the organization. So we've encapsulated these short-term as well as long-term initiatives into a checklist of a being wise or a women-friendly corporate. And we're spreading this across different corporates and different organizations under the FICCI Flow Greater 50% initiative. So I'm very committed to this one. And while my presidentship is over at the end of this month, I will continue to steer and guide the Greater 50%, which is a FICCI Flow initiative, because everybody, it's not just that I believe, but I think the leadership at FICCI believes that this is going to be a great initiative and a step in the right direction for the entire country.
Thank you, Ms. Reddy, for sharing your insights and time once again. We're delighted to have you as a partner.
And thank you for all the great work all of you are doing.
And here is the moment. And here is the moment we've all been waiting for. For the winner under the Leadership Commitment category. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Anil Kariwala, CEO, Kariwala Industries Limited. Mr. Kariwala set up all-women manufacturing units in West Bengal, providing skill training to more than 5,000 women. The company also provides interest-free bicycles and two-wheeler loans for promoting women's economic empowerment, safety, and independence. Mr. Kariwala, congratulations on winning this award. And now, if I may ask you, what was the motivation behind starting an all-women manufacturing unit and to provide women zero-interest loans?
Thank you very much, Zoya. We are all shaped by our childhoods. When I was a young boy, I would find my dad would every time introduce my mom as the better half. He would try to explain it to me. I would not understand. When I got a little older, he explained that she thinks in a creative way, I think in a logical way. So when logic and creativity gets intertwined, so then he jokingly said, that's how I was born. So, but jokes apart, I really found that creative perspective to how my mother raised us and the logical perspective which my dad gave us. And then my motivation was to look at this creative perspective. In the beginning, it was actually a feel-good thing, but then I'm a chartered accountant. Then I found it makes economic sense. So the Feel Good initiative became more of an economic initiative, economic feel good initiative. And that's how it made sense that we have to hire more and more women until we decided to have all women factor. In fact, I was, as His Excellency, Mr. Ugo Astuto was mentioning, is not only a good thing to do, but a smart thing to do. So we figured out it was quite a smart thing for us to do, to hire women, and which gives a fillip to the profitability of the business, and some men at the places where that factory is all women factory, but at our offices, for example, where men and women both working. So I found that men are not only dressing smarter, but they are working smarter also. So that was the initiative. That was the motivation, Zoya.
Thank you, Mr. Kariwala, for setting the bar high. It's leaders like you that are helping advance progress towards women's empowerment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We are now delighted to present the award for the first runner-up in the Leadership Commitment category. And the award goes to Ms. Sri Vidya Ramakrishnan, Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Reddy's Laboratory. Ms. Ramakrishnan has been instrumental in formulating flexible policies on work-life integration that provide a level playing field, drafting policies on work from home, part-time, flexi hours, and sabbaticals for women, and paternity leave to encourage partners to support their spouses, implemented across the organization. Heartiest congratulations to Ms. Ramakrishnan. We would like to hear from you the challenges that you faced in adopting and implementing flexible work policies at Dr. Reddy's, and how did you overcome them?
Thank you, Ishita. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to first express my deep gratitude and thank UN Women and the jury for recognizing our efforts and initiatives towards women's empowerment. So the flexible work policies we implemented were instrumental in enabling women to pursue their career. However, we found that a mindset shift was required to gain acceptability of some of the initiatives and embrace implementation. So we ran workshops to emphasize the need for diversity, inclusivity, and address unconscious biases. It was also important for us to understand managers' perspectives and address their concerns. For example, adherence to project timelines without affecting a woman's choices. We found concerns being raised by women regarding roles after maternity. So it was necessary to start identifying suitable roles that a woman could return to after an extended break. And we also launched support programs such as Buddy Mother. Now we track various metrics to stay focused on diversity and inclusivity, along with continuous reinforcement and feedback through pulse surveys. So thank you once again, and we look forward to partnering with UN Women on women's empowerment and gender equality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ramakrishnan. You are indeed our role model and an inspiration for many women and girls aspiring to lead gender-inclusive businesses.
And now, the award for the second runner-up in the leadership and commitment category. And the award goes to Ms. Divya Hegde, founder and CEO of the Integrated Penguin. For her initiative, Reality Check, an interactive game that integrates an understanding of gender equality into early education, and to foster a generational shift in thinking and culture. The intervention has also received a grant from the government of Karnataka to develop it further. Well done, Ms. Hegde, for this wonderful initiative, and congratulations again. Would you please share your thoughts about the change that you would like to see through this interactive reality check game?
Sure. Firstly, thank you so much, UN Women. My team and I are extremely humbled to be given this amazing platform and for our efforts to be recognized. Now, we all know that gender bias is a really grim global reality that the Integrated Penguin is, and we're really committed to fighting. Our gender equality initiative, Reality Check, we're leveraging the power and fun of video gaming to help children unlearn gender bias roles from a really young age in order to, hopefully build a new generation that has the tools to form a more egalitarian society in future. Our vision is gender equality education for all children. We've started in India and we want to spread this globally. The basic intention is let's allow our girls to be powerful and boys to be vulnerable. So that's our initiative. And once again, thank you, UN.
Thank you, Ms. Hegde. This is truly inspiring, and we hope you can scale the heights of your vision very soon.
Thank you.
Under each of the categories, we received applications for women entrepreneurs, largely micro, small, medium, and startups with initiatives that had transformative potential to address gender gaps and barriers at workplace, marketplace, and communities. We decided to recognize them as generation equality champions and facilitate their commendable work. Generation Equality is a UN Women campaign to accelerate gender equality action towards creating a world where equality in political leadership, classrooms, corporate boardrooms, and factory floors prevails. Women and girls have equal say in decisions that affect their lives, their bodies, their policies, and their environment, from the villages to the cities. And we are delighted to recognize Ms. Gauri Gopal as a Generation Equality under Leadership category. Ms. Gauri Gopal leads a social enterprise that creates employment for women in Uttar Pradesh by recognizing their craft skills and providing them with tech-based support and access to global markets. Many congratulations, Ms. Gopal. How effective has been your work with the Gram Panchayats in Muzaffarnagar to promote women's craft skills through your social enterprise?
Thank you so much for this award. It means a lot to us since we were a very young organization. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about us. At Skills Samaritan, we're all about the boss stories, not the soft ones. So that makes our work relatively simple because our women are gangsters in their own right. We work with women from marginalized communities who lack a formal education, were married very young. They've lacked dignified job opportunities because most consider them unemployable. But like I said, not every story is a soft story. These women have brilliant craft skills and they wanted to work. They want to make a difference to their lives, making them bosses in their own right. So we started our work with one woman, Gauhar Fatma, in June 2019 to make beautiful, well-designed products using a very innovative tech design approach, which I'll talk about later, in the home and lifestyle space, where we combined her craft skills of charpai weaving to make beautiful functional products such as these, using waste materials like plastic waste, textile waste. So as the demand for our products grew, we realized the potential of combining existing skills with contemporary design to make functional, marketable products. And with more and more women who wanted to work in financial independence, we collaborated with the local Gram Panchayats to mobilize and onboard women who wanted to work. So that makes us truly bosses. And that's what Skills Samaritan does, using existing skill sets to do about a lot of good. Thank you so much, women, for sort of recognizing our work, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Gopal, for sharing with us your inspiring journey. We're excited to continue seeing what great milestones your organization achieves, and we wish you all the best.
It's time now to move on to our next category, WEPs Award for Youth Leadership. The Youth Leadership category recognizes the efforts of young leaders under the age of 30 years. Young entrepreneurs, leaders of startups, or young employees who actively initiate and promote gender equality and women's empowerment within their organizations, marketplaces, and communities.
And now is the time to celebrate the winners under the Youth Leadership category. Under this prestigious category, the winner is Ms. Divya Rathore, founder, Silvery Nano Innovations, LLP. Nari, Saaf Toilet Ki Savari is an initiative for women's hygiene in public toilets with the product Hapito. Hapito is a disinfectant which, once sprayed, provides infection-less and easy cleaning toilets for 1 month, both impacting the environment by consuming less water and preventing urinary tract infection among women. Ms. Rathod, heartiest congratulations, and what an innovative idea. How did you come up with an idea of your women's hygiene product, Hapito?
First of all, thank you so much for nominating me for this Youth Leadership Award. And I'm really grateful to receive this award. So hello, my name is Divya Rathore and I'm the founder and CEO of Silvery Nanos Innovations LLP. I came up with this idea as myself. I've suffered from UTI in my second year of college. So when I was in the bed for 2 months and I couldn't go to the college for 2 months, missing my studies of microbiology and biotechnology. So I was studying in microbiology. And hence I took it as a project that how we can prevent UTI, because every year 150 million women suffers from urinary tract infection, and this infection can lead to bladder cancer also. So when I was on the bed, I literally thought about this idea, and now in 2019, I officially took the registration as Silvery Nanos Innovations LLP, and we are doing projects like Nari, also empowerment of women, because almost everyone in our company is women, to promote this prevention from UTI. And I hope that one day we will have or successful and prevention of UTI across the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Rathod, for your insights. We wish you success in all your future initiatives.
And now for the runner-up in the youth leadership category. And now we have Ms. Chinmayi Kusnoor, founder, Khadi Sustainability Initiative at Aquacraft Projects Private Limited. Khadi Kavach Sustainability Initiative aims to democratize it amongst the masses. Khadi Kavach makes washable, reusable, and durable face masks with the support of women's self-help groups, creating employment opportunities for women. Ms. Kusnoor, congratulations to you again. And I'd just like to ask you, what was the inspiration for sustainable Khadi masks for the needy and underprivileged?
Thank you so much for this recognition. I'm honored to receive this award today. So I am a student at Simon Fraser University in Canada. And back in March when the pandemic hit us, my parents and I thought that it's the best option for me to come back to Mumbai for my safety. So on my way back when I was traveling, I needed a mask. And after great struggle, I managed to find one mask in Vancouver. So I realized that Canada, being a first world country, doesn't have access to masks, which means that this pandemic is going to hit all of us to some extent, especially the underprivileged people of a country like India. So when I came back, I started manufacturing Khadi masks at a Khadi society in my native Dharwad, where they employ women self-help groups. So it gave me immense happiness that I could do something small that could help and support these women of rural areas. And I then raised money through crowdfunding platforms and donated masks to the Indian Army, Mumbai Police, and the slums of Maharashtra. Then now I sell these masks and use the proceeds to donate as much as I can. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kusnoor, for taking us through your journey with this women's self-help groups and beyond. Promotion of women's entrepreneurs and small enterprises is going to go a long way in achieving women empowerment goals.
And the award for the second runner-up under the youth leadership category goes to Ms. Pragya Singh, CEO and founder, Real She Power Private Limited. Her initiative, RealShePower.in, is based on the idea of women's empowerment and highlights stories and achievements of women. Articles also deal with sensitive issues on women's health and body image, including sexual and reproductive rights, vaginal health, body shaming to rape. Superb idea, Ms. Singh. A very hearty congratulations. Now, why did you start your website and social media page, The Real She Power?
Hi, Ishita. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this recognition by UN Women and WEP principals. So I started off Real She Power with a very basic idea that women need to empower, encourage, and support women. It's very important for us women to be the cheerleaders, to celebrate the triumphs and the journeys of women around the world, across the globe. The phenomenal stories of women needs to be celebrated. But at the same time, there are multiple issues, hard-hitting realities like femicide, the increasing cases of femicide, which is in and around the world, that needs to be discussed. And therefore, we started off Real She Power. Also, I would like to add that young girls in India and around the world need role models. They need to know women who are doing phenomenal work, like you or Zoya, Suhaila, Bhumika, all of you amazing women, at such great positions at UN. So the world, especially the young girls, they need to know that women are exceeding and they're excelling at different places possible. So yeah, the idea is basically to take all these stories to the young girls of not only India, but around the world and celebrate that because, hey, in women, we believe. Thank you.
It's really inspiring to see young women like you Missing, taking power in their hands and towards creating a better world. More power to you Missing and success in your future endeavors. Thank you for being with us today.
Now we move on to our next awards category, and it is Gender Inclusive Workplace. The Gender Inclusive Workplace category recognizes achievements in adopting relevant gender-inclusive measures in the workplace, including equal recruitment and pay, flexible work arrangements, and guaranteeing the safety and well-being of both female and male employees, among others. And to share the juror's perspective for this category, we have with us Ms. Dagmar Walter, Country Director, ILO. Ms. Walter has extensive experience in the area of promoting gender-inclusive workplaces. Ms. Walter, do you think we are closer today to achieving a gender-responsive workplace in India than in the previous decades?
Yeah, thank you. It has been a great pleasure and honor to be part of the jury of this award championship organized by UN Women, one of our UN partners, especially as it brings the opportunity to the entrepreneurs and workers to showcase their initiatives. In terms of your question, I do see that one cannot really generalize. There are many great examples out there, but also still a lot more needs to be done to make the Indian labor market a gender inclusive one. I can see that awareness is certainly increasing and initiatives are multiplying.
Thank you, Ms. Walter. And were there any initiatives which you found compelling in this year's applications?
Certainly, the gender inclusive workplace category was one with the most applications. And to be honest, I found all of them compelling and worthwhile. They do range across, for example, childcare facilities, also unbiased recruitment practices, skills and career development, and also women in leadership advancement. And we can go on. There were also initiatives I really found interesting to look at equal pay for equal work. And all these initiatives take a more or less holistic approach, which I also found very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And looking ahead, what steps do companies need to take to promote more gender inclusive workplaces?
Yeah, in fact, businesses and workers represented here today need to continue to do what they are doing well, and in particular gain further inspiration from others. Likewise, it is essential that they make visible and share their good practices and value additions with the business community at large to create this much needed ripple effect. Their voices in the policy-making debate is also crucial to create a more conducive, gender-sensitive, enabling business environment. I think this will go a long way in attracting women to the labor market to also make the economy grow. So I must say that in this regard, I feel that the UN Women Award is one platform for amplifying recognition and inspiration. And I would like to encourage each and every participant to be persistent and to keep at it. And you are the front runners. So congratulations to all those who won the awards, but also to all those who applied. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Walter, for your insights and ideas around creating gender inclusive workplaces.
We are very excited to present the next set of winners under the Gender Inclusive Workplace category. And the award for the Gender Inclusive Workplace category goes to IKEA India. IKEA has been instrumental in promoting gender equality across all levels in the organization. with a 44% representation in the workforce and 40% in managerial roles for women. IKEA has adopted a multi-dimensional approach of equal platform from recruitment to benefits to internal development, culminating in a commitment to equal pay. We have with us today Mr. Peter Betskill, CEO and CSO of IKEA India, and Ms. Parinita Cecile Lakra, Country People and Culture Manager, IKEA India, to receive the award. Congratulations, Mr. Betskill and Ms. Lakra. Please tell us a bit about the key pillars of your equal pay initiative.
Thank you very much, and we are very humble and thankful for this recognition, as it also a reward for all the efforts that we have been putting into equality, diversity, and inclusion the last 6 years in India. We are coming with a vision of creating a better everyday life for the many people, and we would like to. Our plan is also to reach 100 million people in India the coming years, so we can be also be a good example or influencer in India. India is a fantastic, exciting, diverse market. And if we believe in that vision, we see that one of the big challenges besides global warming and well-being is a growing inequality around all societies around the world. And our vision is a very humanistic approach to that. So we have people at the heart of everything what we do. So we believe that everyone has the right to be treated fairly and to be given an equal opportunity. So thus we see equality, diversity, and inclusion as simply the right thing to do. In India, one of our key commitments from the beginning was to build and to grow a gender-balanced organization. 50-50 gender equality in all levels, in all functions, in all units. And just to mention, for example, the management team IKEA in India, now you see me as a man, but the management team IKEA India, there are 6 women out of 10 participants. And so that means that we have since 2014, we have a multidimensional approach on, we have equal platform for all our co-workers from recruitment, benefits, internal development, and this is also culminating in the commitment for equal pay. We believe that a truly gender equal workplace and employer is not enough to have equal policies or to have equal opportunities, but also to have equal pay for work with an equal value. For that, I would like to hand over to Pari to give some words on that.
Thank you, Peter. Firstly, I wanted to start by saying a big thank you for the appreciation that you bring to us at IKEA India through this award. And just continuing where Peter left, we started to look at equal pay for equal work in 2018 as a natural progression to our gender agenda. We built this on the solid foundation of awareness and collective responsibility for all our co-workers so that we could do our bit to create and sustain a gender-balanced workplace. And we knew that we may not be able to influence all the parameters which lead to a wage gap, but we really wanted to try and do the utmost to close the gender pay gap at our end. I'm happy to share that with the steps that we've taken, today the gender pay gap that we see is a minus 0.95%, and we are really hoping to close the pay gap by the end of 2021. And actually after that, try all efforts to keep it balanced and ensure that there is a zero pay gap for all our co-workers. We are really happy to be a signatory and to collaborate with UN Women and WEP program to share, to learn. And this also helps us to anchor our commitment to continue our work towards becoming a 50-50 gender balance and an equal pay employer. So on behalf of IKEA India, we share a very big thank you for the recognition and acknowledge that it gives us a lot of energy to keep going in the path that we have taken. Thank you for an amazing afternoon of inspiration, especially listening to the young leaders. Again, thank you once again and best wishes.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. And with IKEA taking concrete steps towards equal pay in India, it will surely go a long way in reducing discrimination at the workplace and creating equal opportunities for women, at the same time setting precedents for other companies.
And now we move on to the runner-up award for the Gender Inclusive Workplace category. And the award goes to Biocon Limited. Biocon Limited's Women Initiative BioWin focuses on increasing diversity ratio in the organization through unbiased gender-based hiring and retention. It includes policies, practices, and that enhance safety at workplace, work-life balance, career development, productivity, and performance of women employees. We are very pleased to welcome Mr. Amitva Saha, CHRO, Biocon Limited. Heartiest congratulations, Mr. Saha. What made Biocon focus to address the issue of gender diversity?
First and foremost, thank you for this wonderful recognition. We are very humbled and at the same time very proud to get this award. Diversity has been at the core of our operations right from the beginning. We have always been an equal opportunity employer. But what we realized in the past is we need a special focused initiative to bring this to the forefront. We had a lot of employees who were working in the manufacturing area and also in research and development. And there was a general stigma attached to gender diversity, particularly in manufacturing. So our first foray in this area was to make people aware of why diversity is important. Needless to say, we all understand why. It brings a lot of different perspectives. It helps innovation. It brings a different morale to the entire workforce. And all in all, it makes very good business sense. After making people aware, the next thing was to develop women leaders, because it's very important in an equal opportunity employment scenario to have people who are equally competent and aspiring to grow. So we focused on that through our BioWin initiative in making more and more women aware of what they can achieve and then empowering them to do so. The third and the most important part was to bring about an environmental change. So policies, practices, and various initiatives which made people not just understand, but also take part in bringing this diversity factor to the forefront. So all of this put together helped us create this diversity balance. And we are very proud to say that every year we are increasing the percentage of our women employees in the organization and creating more and more leaders. So thank you very much and really appreciate this award.
Thank you, Mr. Saha, and congratulations once again.
And the WEPs award for the second runner-up under this category goes to Capgemini. Capgemini's award-winning Captivate initiative is a career comeback initiative targeting unconscious bias and helping women to get back into the workforce. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Yashwin Yarde, Chief Executive Officer of Capgemini. Mr. Yarde, what motivated Capgemini to undertake this initiative?
So first of all, thank you, UN Women, for recognition of Capgemini's effort towards women empowerment, especially at workforce. We are really humbled and honored to receive this award. At Capgemini, over the years, we have been focused on bringing significant share of women workforce in our workforce as well as at our leadership. One observation we had over the years is for women, their best career years and their biological or social needs unfortunately clash. And we see a significant dropout of women during their maternity period. And several of them are lost forever in the employment workforce. So we focused specific initiatives to address this problem statement. And we launched two programs. One is Captivate. The Captivate program focuses specifically on getting women who have taken a break from maternity back into workforce, ensuring that any years of gap is appropriately addressed and ignored so that they don't face handicap in recruitment. Second thing which we also did is even when we have our employees or women go on maternity leave, through our Fair Welcome program, we ensure they are engaged with the company, including continuing to build their skills in technology or leadership, so that they don't miss out any years when they take a break and very seamlessly settle back into the organization. With both these programs and support of our infrastructure, where we have a daycare center and lactation rooms on each and every campus of Capgemini, it has helped us significantly increase talent acquisition as well as retention of women workforce in Capgemini. So again, thank you for recognizing our efforts and congratulations to all the participants and winners in all the categories. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yadi. Your leadership is truly inspirational, more so because you are addressing socio-cultural constraints that hinder women's participation in economic activities.
Now we move on to the fourth category of the WEPs Awards, which is the Gender Responsive Marketplace. The Gender Responsive Marketplace category recognizes corporations for embracing gender lenses through their value chains, from sourcing to disposal, including supplier diversity, programs, and/or policies to incentivize procurement from women-owned businesses and gender-responsive marketing and advertising, for instance. Mr. Mihir Sharma, Senior Fellow and Head, Economy and Growth Program, Observer Research Foundation, is here with us today to shed light on the selection process for this category. Mr. Sharma writes extensively on economy and has won several accolades. Mr. Sharma, we really appreciate your time and commitment to this initiative. As an expert on pressing issues facing the Indian economy, why do you think it is high time to focus on a gender-inclusive workplace?
I thank you. I think that...
Mr. Sharma, could I request you to unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted.
My apologies.
Thank you. I think that, you know, one of the earlier panelists mentioned, you know, recent achievements that have been made, for example, in increasing the number of women on boards in India. And that's almost exemplary of how we've generally approached the problem of gender inclusion in the corporate world. We understand that we can reach the organized private sector quite efficiently, large companies. It's much tougher for regulations, policies, for the government, you know, in fact, to reach the vast majority of the economy, which is unorganized. And I think that's why the marketplace section of these awards are particularly important, because they demonstrate how gender inclusive practices that mesh with the organization's business model are particularly useful in terms of making major changes to the broader economy.
And what have been your impressions of the initiatives under this category?
Well, I think that the first thing that I should say is that I'm very glad this is on the radar. In fact, I'm impressed that some of the country's most thoughtful and influential corporations have recognized the importance and the utility of making changes to their marketplace policies. And I know there's a lot more that can be done, but I think there were quite a few best practices that I believe in the applicants and in the award winners that hopefully others will be able to emulate.
And what kinds of transformative change could the private sector bring about in this area?
Well, I think that we have to recognize that it's not just about changing your own organization, but about using your space in the economy to extend those positive changes beyond your own organization. And that's how inclusive policies in your marketplace matter. I think it's particularly important at the current time. We must recognize the unequal nature of the impact of the pandemic. It has hurt marginalized groups more. I think several people have mentioned this already. And then, of course, there's a broader trend of platformization, which has also meant that companies' marketplace policies and outreaches are never more important because the most of the stakeholders and how companies operates are now outside that company in its supply chain.
Thank you for your insights, Mr. Sharma. We are thankful for you to join us today.
Thank you.
Now is the time to introduce the winners under this category. The winner for the Gender Responsive Marketplace category is Sodexo India Services Private Limited. Sodexo adopted a conscious strategy to engage with women entrepreneurs in their supply chains as suppliers with a commitment to increase their numbers. We welcome Mr. Manish Thakkar, Procurement and Supply Chain Director, Sodexo India, to receive the award. Mr. Thakkar, what drove you to engage with women entrepreneurs along Sodexo supply chains?
Sure. So thank you, Mihir, for sharing your thoughts, and thank you, Jury, for recognition of our efforts on promoting women entrepreneurs and choosing Sodexo India as UN WEP Awards. Okay, to answer you, Sodexo is committed to empowering women in the workplace, the marketplace, and the community. This approach is incorporated in our roadmap for Better Tomorrow. We have a program called Better Tomorrow 2025. So all the commitments that are designed to reinforce the culture of responsible behavior throughout Sodexo's business. These commitments are fully aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Gender balanced work teams, sourcing from women-owned businesses, and improving quality of life for women in our communities are all important parts of our roadmap. As you might be aware, globally, 1/3 of the SMEs, the small, micro, medium enterprises, and in India, it's around 1/5 of SMEs are owned by women. And Sodexo has partnered with WeConnect International on global and in India to expand our support for women entrepreneurs and business owners. We all know that economic empowerment of women allows them to raise the standard of living of their community as they invest in the health, education, and helps all the women out of the cycle of poverty and abuse and give them opportunities to invest in their own development. To conclude, I would like to say that at Sodexo, we are strongly convinced that when we empower women, we also empower individuals and the communities around them. When women do better, we all do better. So thank you again for the recognition and congratulations to all participants and the winners. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Thakkar. Sodexo's efforts will go a long way in creating an enabling environment for women's access to supply chains.
And for the first runner-up under the Gender Responsive Marketplace category, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sony Pictures Networks. To propagate inclusion in content, Sony ensured that members across their value chain, from scriptwriters, producers to editors, are in the loop about unstereotyping their content. They produce content which reflects values such as transgender representation, non-stereotypical female leads, amongst others. To receive the award, we have with us Ms. Leena Lele Datta, Business Head. Congratulations, Ms. Datta. How are you at Sony moving towards unstereotyping content?
Thank you so much for this honor. It's indeed a pleasure to be here amongst these esteemed panelists. We are really proud that this distinction that we have received through this award just establishes our values and our corporate culture. As you all know, Sony Pictures Networks is a leading network in India and catering to viewership of around 700 million customers reaching 167 countries. And that's exactly the reason, with this kind of platform, with this kind of reach, we can tell stories and talk about women characters and role models and women empowerment. For us at Sony Pictures Networks, inclusion is just not tokenism. It's a critical business need. And through our programming and content, we actively shatter the stereotypes and look at TV shows and long-running series that feature diverse identities and abilities to give our audience positive role models that they can identify with. The end result is a lineup of shows where women are shown as economically independent, educated, and progressive in thought and action. We still have a long way to go, and we are relentless in our path to achieving the sustainable goal number 5, the goal of gender equality, and we'll make sure that we hit that mark in the coming decade.
Thank you, Ms. Datta, for the insights. Sony's efforts are instrumental in addressing gender stereotyping in your content, which is the need of the hour. It's high time we start challenging these outdated norms.
Absolutely. We're with you on that.
And for the second runner-up under this category, please put your hands together for Biocon Limited once again. Biocon promotes a gender-responsive marketplace through initiatives such as employee referral policy. Congratulations once again, Mr. Saha, for this outstanding initiative. Could you please shed some light on what are Biocon's priorities towards promoting a gender-responsive marketplace?
First and foremost, thank you. Thank you very much for giving us this honor and making us doubly proud today afternoon. Yes, we have several policies, and one of them is, of course, the referral one. So let me put our priorities under 3 words: awareness, fairness, and appropriateness. These are the 3 things which define how we address the gender-responsive culture, the gender-responsive marketplace. We design roles, we select people, we then develop talent initiatives, developmental initiatives, and then take people through this entire route to various roles, responsibilities, and create opportunities for people as we do. Employee referral is a very common thing in most organizations, but what makes it special is how you focus on getting a diverse workforce, how you make sure that every leader has got a mandate to have a diverse workforce under him or her. The recruitment team is mandated to provide a suite of candidates for every role which has a diversity factor built into it. And the rewards for hiring are also structured appropriately. Let me also talk about another policy that we have, which I think goes a long way in creating a very positive environment. We all know the maternity policy has got enhanced to 6 months now. A very, very good thing for everyone. What we have done is we have increased that 6 months to another 1 year, which makes it 18 months. And an employee, a young mother, can decide to take an extended break of 18 months instead of 6 and come back to work while we protect the person's role, salary, and all other entitlement. Once the person is back, of course, we provide all basic infrastructure like creche and support systems, but we also give that person a flexible work environment for a month and more, attach the important people in that particular group as mentors, and also other mothers who have recently been through that journey to partner with them to ensure that there's a smooth transition for them into the business. I think small things like this make a big impact. And there are numerous other policies which we can talk about, but again, thank you very much. And we look forward to more participation and more awards in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saha. Biocon is truly a pioneer in promoting inclusion at the workplace.
And now for the next award. The next award is for Generation Equality Champion in the Gender Responsive Marketplace category. And the award goes to Mithila Asmita Art and Craft Private Limited. Mithila Asmita Art and Craft Private Limited is a social enterprise that promotes and supports traditional Madhubani women artisans. Ms. Ihitashri, congratulations. Please tell us more about your initiative to promote women artisans and Madhubani art.
Thank you very much, UN Women and the esteemed jury, for this award and recognition. We at Mithila Asmita are truly humbled and honored. As a child, I played with the children of women artisans of Madhubani at Seva Mithila, my late grandmother's charitable institution, which pioneered the work of bringing a change through art at Madhubani. To see Seva Mithila shutting down in lack of charitable funds prompted me to quit my corporate career to start Mithila Asmita. I often wondered, why do creative women artisans of India need charity and grants to survive when they can sell these beautiful art pieces? The objective of Mithila Asmita has been to create innovative Indian art-based merchandise for markets to bring sustainable livelihoods for the women artisans through a responsible social business. Today, we are very grateful to all the government bodies, museums, corporates, and individuals who have partnered with us in our decade-old journey. And I dedicate this award to my late grandmother and the patron director of Mithila Asmita, Mrs. Gauri Mishra, who spent her life for the empowerment of women artisans of Madhubani. Thank you, UN Women and the jury once again. We are very, very honored.
Thank you, Ms. Ihitashri. By addressing the social challenges faced by the rural artist community, your enterprise is helping preserve a large part of the Indian national heritage.
Thank you.
The next category of WEPs Awards is a community and industry engagement. The community and industry engagement category recognizes corporate champions that promote gender equality through community and industry engagement, including integrating gender equality into their sustainability strategies, CSR programs, as well as instilling transformational action or systemic change within the company's respective industry. And to share the jury's insight for this award, I invite Professor Ingrid Srinath, Director, Center for Social Impact and Philanthropy, Ashoka University. Professor Ingrid Srinath has been a passionate advocate for human rights, social justice, and civil society in India and around the world for the past 20 years. Professor Srinath, as the founding director of the Center for Social Impact Philanthropy at Ashoka University, and with deep knowledge in the philanthropy sector and social impact ecosystem in India, what have been your impressions of the initiatives under this category?
So thank you, first of all, UN Women, for creating this platform that allows organizations to showcase best practice across gender empowerment principles. And thank you also for giving me a ringside view of some of the pioneers and frontrunners in the field. I think the one observation I had about the entries was the sheer range and variety of both organizations and initiatives. So you had organizations that were literally startups, and then you had large, complex organizations, as you've seen in the previous awardees. You also had, by way of initiatives then, some things that were quite nascent, and then others that were fully integrated across the business operations of the entity. And I think cumulatively what they clearly demonstrate is that there are really no barriers. If you want to create a truly gender-friendly workspace and a gender-friendly market, the range of applicants for this award clearly proves that any barriers that people might claim are entirely mythological.
Yes, and furthermore, what measures can business incorporate into their CSR initiatives to strengthen women's economic empowerment and leadership in decision-making?
So I think there are four broad lessons to take away from the various entries. I think the first one is to start with getting organization-wide understanding of why you're doing this. So that this is not just a small sideshow that's happening for women, but something that all employees at all levels of all genders are bought into and committed to. I think the second thing really is to set clear goals, because otherwise this whole exercise can become a little fuzzy. So set clear goals and put the investment that you need behind achieving those goals. The third one, and this shines through across the different awardees, is leadership commitment. So to really demonstrate on a day-to-day basis that leadership is fully committed to these initiatives, and this is not just some sporadic event-based activity that happens. And finally, to have good systems for feedback, for learning, for measurement, and for celebrating the success of these initiatives.
Thank you, Professor Srinath, for such insightful remarks.
And without further ado, we now move on to recognize the winners under the Community and Industry Engagement category, the moment that you've all been waiting for. And the winner is NatWest India. NatWest supports enterprise development programs for the empowerment of women and their families in rural areas, with an outreach to over 2,300 SHGs across 938 villages and 20,000 women-led enterprises. We have with us Mr. Sunil N. Kumar, Head NatWest Foundation India, to receive the award. Mr. Kumar, heartiest congratulations. And what has motivated NatWest to support women entrepreneurs in rural areas?
Thank you, Zoya, very much. In fact, listening to the inspiring stories from across the country, I would really call it an honor to be counted among them. Thank you for the recognition. Now, I would say I would dedicate this award to the intrepid women of the Pauri Garhwal Hills and to the many employees that we have in India who actually volunteer time in this project. We, in fact, have 24 community initiatives happening across the country, but we flagged the one in Pauri Garhwal for this award. And the reason why we picked up this particular project, these women have a unique, so they are migrant workers. They go away to Delhi, Dehradun, and other neighboring towns to work, leaving the women to look after their families and the small enterprises. So I was talking about the women from the Pauri Garhwal Hills. Their specific problem was the men who go away as migrant labor, leaving them to look after homes, their tiny enterprises, and even the agricultural fields. Now, working with them has actually been a lesson in modesty for us. They have developed their own brand, They're Booming, with a range of products from silk, which is a nice blend of mulberry and tussar silk, oak tussar, with organic colors and dyes, a range of spices and dairy products. And our employees actually have played a big role here, volunteering time, imparting skill, helping them with the accounts, playing the role of their marketing, propagating the businesses. Now, to answer your question, why have we chosen to support women enterprises in the rural areas? Now, this is an experience that I have. Is the audio level okay, or is it still bad? Zoya?
The audio level is perfectly
Zoya,
fine.
Is the audio level okay? Okay, so can I go on, please?
Yes, please continue.
Can I go on?
Yes, please.
Yes. So from our experience, from all the 24 projects happening across the country, there is an anecdotal experience, I would say, in all the states. When you put money in the hands of women in rural areas, the family eats better, the children continue to go to school. And if you put some capital in the hands of women, the enterprise actually does much better, including in agriculture. I think we have a bit of a problem here with the audio or the video levels. Is some problem with the audio video levels?
Mr. Kumar, do you also
have
the
problem
lights
here?
on simultaneously?
No, I'm fine. I'm not hearing any other interruption. I'm fine. I'm not hearing any interruption.
All right.
Is it any better? Or do we continue to have a problem?
I think it's completely fine, sir. We've just got the message from our team, so you may continue.
Okay.
All right.
Woman, but thank you very much for the award, which I'm receiving, honored to receive on behalf of the NatWest Group in India, which as a business policy is committed to diversity in the workplace and for very affirmative action for gender equality. And the same philosophy extends into all our community investments, which primarily is in climate change, but we do the climate change adaptation through women-led household enterprises, and so the focus on women in the communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, for your leadership and commitment.
Moving on to the first runner-up under the Community and Industry Engagement category is Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited. Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited is striving to bridge the gender divide through its various women-centric social innovation programs such as Unnati and Sati. We are delighted to have Mr. Ganesh Srinivasan, the Chief Executive Officer of Tata Power DDL, with us today to receive the award. Mr. Srinivasan, please tell us about the key aspects of Unnati initiative.
Thank you, and thank you very much for this honor. And I would like to really thank the jury. And this award is dedicated to our employees who really volunteer and make this a reality as part of the spirit, and also our many NGO partners who actually interact with the community on the ground. Our initiative mainly, which is Unnati, which is focused on women's empowerment, is focused on the 1 million slum consumers that we have in our license area in Delhi. And we really believe that empowerment, for empowerment, education and employment have to be created and have to be enabled. So our 4 initiatives are focused on both these aspects, education as well as employment. And we have things like a women literacy center. We have close to 350 women literacy centers that are running. And in this, we run a 6-month program by which a woman, through a women literacy center, a woman is able to do the basics, read, write, sign documents, open an account in the bank, read the newspaper. So the basics are taught to her so that she is then able to interact with the community appropriately. We also have the ABHA program, which is we have close to 850 ABHAs. And ABHAs are basically, ABHA means radiance. And ABHAs conduct door-to-door campaigns raising awareness about different social initiatives as well as the CSR initiatives of the company. So they are the representatives of the company in the community or the single point contact. And what started off as 5 ABHAs is now about 850 ABHAs that we have. And this model has been recognized by the World Bank as well. So it is something that is being adopted across African nations. And vocational training centers, we have close to 18 vocational training centers and also the self-help groups. So these are 4 main initiatives that Tata Power Delhi distribution is running, focused on employment and education. And we are very, very happy to receive this award and huge encouragement for us to take this journey even higher. Thank you very much to UN Women and all the jury. Thank you very much.
And congratulations once again, Mr. Srinivasan, and especially on enabling functional literacy and find independence, especially in these tough times.
And the second runner-up award under this category goes to Achieving Women Equity Funds. AWE Funds helps women become economically independent through its edification webinar series for promoting digital literacy, financial literacy, entrepreneurial skills, and well-being. We welcome Ms. Seema Chaturvedi, founder and managing partner, AWE. What a wonderful initiative, Ms. Chaturvedi. Many congratulations. And what has motivated you to launch the Digital Literacy Series?
Well, thank you so much to UN Women, to the team, Nishtha, Kanta, and all the amazing leaders of UN Women for instituting these awards. This is a source of great inspiration and encouragement. And I want to dedicate this to my phenomenal team at AWE Funds, our supporters, Prachi, and the rest of the team, Padma, and you know all who, those who are supporting us, Zia Modi, and Padma Chandrasekharan, to name a few, and of course my mother and my daughter to pay it forward. We are motivated by the simple tenet of achieving women equity. That's right there in our names of being off funds. We do it because we passionately believe in unlocking the most fundamentally powerful and yet sadly latent resource in any community and any economy, which is its women. We approach this by leveraging the potency of capital allocation, because we think that by providing equity capital, we can unlock this value. So as off funds, we are an equity fund, which is investing in innovative enterprises to promote gender equity. And we do this by investing in women-owned, led, or influenced businesses by using gender lens. So why is this important? Because we are living in an environment where less than 3% of venture funding goes to women businesses, and that's in developed markets. So it is much more dismal in developing markets. We think that this is the most important public policy initiative that can unlock economic value for a community, but also it makes for great commercial returns. In terms of the impact we have seen, the impact has been truly multidimensional, and it's way beyond just economic empowerment. It includes socio-cultural, familial, legal, and psychological empowerment of women. So we look at capital allocation and specifically equity investment as a key unlock to developing an economy and a community that is more gender inclusive. Why Edification series? Our focus was in helping develop an ecosystem that is truly capable and is able to take in this capital in a manner that it can generate a multiplier effect, not just for the community of the present times, but also have a multi-generational impact, which is why we were blessed and we were thrilled to have UN Women support us in the Edification series that covered financial literacy, digital literacy, entrepreneurial skills, and of course, mental well-being. Thank you again, and it's a pleasure to be receiving this award.
And thank you so much for your efforts in enabling women's access to finance, which will go a long way in bridging the gender gap.
Thank you.
The focus of our last but not the least category is COVID-19 action by a company. The COVID-19 action category seeks to recognize companies or leaders which have made significant contributions to promote gender equality and women's empowerment in the context of COVID-19, including supporting women-owned small and medium-sized enterprises and adopting a gender-sensitive, responsive approach. To discuss this further, I have Professor Srinath. With your rich experience in areas of human rights and social justice in India and worldwide, why is gender-sensitive response to the effects of the pandemic important for businesses?
Hi again, thank you. So, we weren't doing terribly well on gender empowerment before the pandemic. As others have remarked today, we have one of the lowest women's participation in the workplace ratios. Indian women do a disproportionate share of unpaid labor in the home and the family. And then we added on top of that the disruption of COVID, which some studies are saying have resulted in 3 times as many women losing their jobs, for example, as men. You're looking also at disproportionate impact when it comes to violence against women, You're looking at disproportionate impact on girls, whether it's school dropout or child marriage and so on. So, and then against all of those setbacks, if you will, we were already doing so poorly on the gender-related SDGs that it's going to take us everything we can to just return to where we were pre-pandemic. So those who really focused with a gender lens in their COVID response are helping us get there. It's also clear, I think, one the other thing that the pandemic has taught us is that women make better leaders in a crisis than anyone else does. I mean, if you look at this from New Zealand to Germany and beyond, it's clear that we need more women in leadership. So investments in building women's leadership is what we need to build back better. And that's why I think applying a gender lens in the COVID response work has been so critical.
Furthermore, what has been your impression of companies' COVID-19 initiatives under this category?
I think the one thing that blew me away was the fact that most companies, in fact, certainly all the entrants to this award, went well beyond what you might expect of them. This was not just people doing something, it was people doing everything that they could. And it was a sort of a 360-degree response. People were leveraging all their assets and reaching out to all their constituents in their COVID response. That I thought was the most fantastic observation of this set of entries.
Professor Srinath, considering that COVID-19 is possibly the biggest threat facing humanity today, your inputs for women's empowerment in these challenging times are of immense value. With countless women suffering from the adversities brought on by COVID-19, we are thankful for organizations who are out there supporting and continuing to support women in these difficult times. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
And now we move on to the WEPs Award for COVID-19 Action category, and the award goes to 24/7 AI. 24/7 AI In It to Win It initiative that enables special ops to protect people from being laid off during the lockdown, implemented part and flexi-time work, launched COVID protection insurance policy, and provided a health desk to make inquiries about the well-being of employees. We are pleased to welcome Ms. Neena Nair, Senior Vice President and HRD Head, India and Americas. Congratulations, Ms. Nair. What a wonderful initiative. Could you tell us what the biggest challenge women faced during the time of the pandemic and how 24/7 AI tried to address it?
Sure, but before that, thank you, Zoya, and we're delighted to win the award for a very pertinent category of COVID-19. I think it's a huge testimony to our the work that has been done by the teams and the initiatives that we launched to ensure continued focus on gender equality as well as women empowerment, especially in these unprecedented times. To your question of what was the challenge, I think the biggest one was actually moving to remote working. The shift to remote working possibly had the highest impact on women teammates. And that was because their roles of being a professional and being a homemaker suddenly got blurred. They were both all the time because they were at home. And the number of working hours just doubled and tripled. And with that came a lot of those sensitivities that build within the families because everybody is there together. And then more importantly, fatigue set in, physical stress and mental stress kind of skyrocketed. You know, there is a saying that says that a true empath can actually feel things before they become visible. And we at 24/7 had to become those empaths, put ourselves into our women teammates' shoes to see what we could do to actually ease their role while they were doing both, sitting at home. We did a whole lot of things. Some of them you mentioned, Zoya, but I'm just going to call out a couple of them. One, I think, was training. We actually trained them how to work from home because we've never done that before. Pre-COVID, we all used to go to the office, right? So we actually undertook training programs to teach people how to work remotely as well as how to lead remotely. So that was the first thing that we actually equipped our women teammates with. The second thing was we understood that there had to be a way to make sure that their physical as well as emotional and mental well-being was taken care of. So we created a slew of programs both for visible physical well-being through multiple programs like yoga and meditation, exercising, also various activities that they do on a daily basis. But apart from that, emotional counseling as well, so that they would be able to speak to somebody on whatever they were going through or they were doing to make sure that their home and their work was managed and balanced properly. The third thing that we did was we did special rewards and recognition programs where we included their family. We wanted their family not only to see how important these women teammates were for 24/7.ai, but also we wanted to give the self-esteem and the self-worth back to our women teammates to tell them that wherever they might be, they were so critical to the success of 24/7.ai. And finally, I think what we did was we thought that while they were at home, one of the most important things that they could do was to actually reskill themselves and enhance their skills. So we created individual development programs for our women teammates to develop their skills, to build their learning so that they could take on more responsibilities and more important roles, not only during this period, but in the future as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nina, for sharing with us the steps that 24/7.ai took to successfully build a platform to support women during these difficult times.
Thank you. And now for the runner-up award under the COVID-19 action category, please put your hands together for DCM Shriram Limited. The company set up a rupees 15 crore COVID-19 contingency fund. Rupees 5 crore is committed for preventive healthcare Kushal Sahit program in building awareness and education on COVID-19, supporting girls with menstrual hygiene, piloting medical teleconsultation from doctors with the help of village-level healthcare workers, among others. We are delighted to have with us today Ms. Aman Pannu, Head Corporate Communications and DCM, to receive the award. Ms. Pannu, congratulations. And what was the motivation to start Preventive Healthcare Kushal Sehat program?
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, thank you so much on behalf of DCM Shriram Limited for this honor from UNWEP. So specifically to Khushali Sehat. Khushali Sehat is our healthcare program which has a focus on women's reproductive health. And we've launched this program in 2011. Now, since the onset of COVID-19, we had to recalibrate this program to provide access to lactating and pregnant women for vaccinations, hospital delivery, poshahar, teleconsultation, etc. through our NGO partners. So actually, they were our ambassadors who were actually the village level workers who went across these 44 villages where our program is ongoing in Hardoi and Lakhimpur Kheri, UP. We also worked towards the pregnant and lactating mothers actually receiving benefits of government schemes like the Pradhan Mantri Matra Vandana Yojana. Now, this was in collaboration with Indus Action. We also recently collaborated with Tara Trust and PFI for our menstrual health management program to further scale up impact through knowledge and IEC, and also of setting up of SHGs specifically for making cotton reusable sanitary pads, because during the COVID time, there was a gap that was existent also. So I think one of the greatest learnings for us at DCM Shriram during this period was that collaborations during the pandemic have helped us to gain more knowledge and also to further the social impact of our existing programs. So thank you so much again, UNWEP, for this honor.
Thank you so much for your efforts towards creating mass awareness about COVID-19 and implementing large-scale initiatives to curb the effect of the pandemic.
And now we have the second runner-up under this category. Once again, Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited. Once again, Tata Power DDL launched holistic packages towards a gender-sensitive response to the pandemic. We now welcome Mr. Subir Verma, Tata Power. Mr. Verma, welcome once again and congratulations once again. Tell us about how your company supported women during the pandemic.
So we did a lot of initiative. We strongly believe that women are more productive, women are more engaged, and a lot of success which we have achieved at Tata Power DDL is because of the diverse workforce which we have. During this pandemic time also, we did a lot of customized initiative because we realized and we acknowledge that women have two jobs. One, they were working from home, and second was they were working for home also. So we enabled all the women that they need to work from home, and we also supported them in maintaining their physical, mental, psychological, emotional, and also digital well-being of those employees. Another element which we did is that we understand that since women are staying at home, they also have to take care of their kids, their spouses and their parents. So we had a lot of initiative done for kids and spouses so that they are being taken care of, and the woman employee can take focus on the work and focus on the house. We also believe that the small kids, in terms of policies also, any employee who has smaller child, till now, from the month of February till now, they are 100% working from home. So these are some initiative which we did. We also launched a program called Aptitude, where we engaged all the women employees in all kind of activity which they do, whether they are doing any hobbies or they are pursuing any kind of support which they are extending. So we were doing a very holistic engagement for all our employees in terms of whatever they are doing. And another important element which we took care of was that we were doing weekly survey to find out how employees are feeling. Are they getting right kind of support from their managers or not? So dipstick and weekly basis, we used to get feedback from those employees, and that helped us in rolling out future programs. So these are a few initiatives which we did, which has given us a great response from all the women employees. And I'm very thankful for you and the whole team for recognizing Tata Power DDL. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verma, for your efforts in engaging the community in the response to the pandemic.
And now for the Generation Equality Champion for COVID-19 Action category, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Skills Samaritan Foundation. The Skill Samaritan launched flexible and tech-based work from home model called the Skill Labs during the pandemic. We are delighted to welcome Ms. Gauri Gopal Agarwal, founder Skill Samaritan. Wonderful initiative, Ms. Agarwal. Please tell us more about your tech-based work from home model called the Skills Lab.
Thank you once again for this opportunity. So I'll start with something very interesting as to how many times have you bought a product for your home just because you absolutely loved it, or because a woman made it, or because it was sustainable? So at Skill Samaritan and our brand Sirohi, which is actually named after the first village we ever started work at, we very quickly realized that the demand for our products was increasing only because each product was very well designed and catered to the functional needs of an urban market. So while our artisans are very, very talented in craft, they constantly need design inputs. And this is exactly what a lot of artisans across the country need. While they're very talented, they need design inputs and market access. So during the COVID-19 lockdown, when demand for home office furniture was at its peak, we worked with a team of designers from across the country and even from the Royal College of Art in England, and developed an entire collection just using 3D drawings, and trained our artisans to make these pieces using video calling tools, WhatsApp calls, and with 850 million Indians coming online by 2025, we leveraged technology to actually train artisans, because we know they all have mobile phones. So during this period, we actually sold 100 pieces of work from home desks, won India's Best Design Award as an artisan-powered brand by the Pool magazine for a product that was designed virtually, made locally. So if I have to empower 100 artisans who are in the vicinity of where I am, but there are millions of artisans across India who have a similar skill set, how do we do that? So similarly, Skill Labs is a sort of product by Skill Samaritan, where we leverage the power of technology using WhatsApp tools, video calling tools to provide access to design artisans across the country. So when you buy a product from Sirohi, and please do visit it, it makes functional, beautiful products that you will love. And each product that you buy from us has a lovely story to tell.
Thank you, Ms. Agarwal, for sharing details of your initiative, and we wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. With this, we have reached the end of our awards presentation ceremony, and I'm very, very pleased to call upon Ms. Nishtha Satyam, Deputy Country Representative of UN Women India. Nishtha, an unapologetic feminist, a trained economist with a keen interest in applied macroeconomic and fiscal policy, is the youngest woman to represent UN Women amongst the 193 countries. Nishtha, over to you.
Wonderful, wonderful day for all of us here at UN Women, and I hope it's been equally wonderful for you all too. I'd really like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the winners, the runners-up, the generation equality champions who really are trailblazers and showing the way forward for how companies can advance gender equality and women's economic empowerment. We really look to you, and I can say this as UN Women, as exemplars of transformative business action. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to the speakers and jury members who took the time to attend the awards ceremony, who really put up with all the technical glitches that were happening in the beginning, and still stayed with us to recognize the efforts of winning companies and to emphasize the importance really of the private sector as in pushing forward change that is bold, innovative, and sustainable. I have a history of working with the private sector, starting with American Express to KPMG, and several of you may resonate with that a little more. And I can tell you that the big change that we are seeing in this part of the world is really the ushering in of the private sector as an equal stakeholder to development, as really the engine of growth, in a way that it intersects people, profit, and policy, and as very, very important players in that intersection. None of this evening would have been possible without our esteemed judges who weighed in with their rich expertise and really took the time to evaluate 60 applications, which could be a tad difficult. And of course, a big thanks to the 91 companies who applied for the awards. We are both humbled and heartened by your overwhelming response. The sheer volume of applications we received showed us that businesses are committed to promoting gender equality in the workplace. And by participating in these awards, you have demonstrated the willingness to take decisive action for a better future. And like I always say, there's always a reward for putting up your hand first. So thank you really for charting the way for many, many more companies to come. I think from here on, it will be crucial for us to ensure that businesses embody the WEPs for promoting women's empowerment in the workplace, in the marketplace, and communities. I think we've heard this line before in the evening, and it's only because we want to emphasize how the world looks at women and the fact that, and to ensure that we don't leave women out in any of these spheres. And this absolutely will require business leaders and champions like you, evenings like today, to go beyond the expectation of national legislation to really engender a shift in business culture and to take impact beyond really a small group of people. But it always starts with a small group of people, and I'm glad that we had a lot of them, and we have a lot of them today, some of with whom I have very, very personal relationships, and it's almost to an extent that it's a shared journey. We at UN Women want to continue committing to this shared journey that we have with you, and to ensure that the private sector and we together make women's economic empowerment, quite simply, a part of our business as usual. Thank you very much for spending a Monday evening with us, for taking the time to be with us. Thank you for applying. Thank you for believing along with us. And like I always say, at the end of such events and evenings, one almost feels lighter to know that you're not in the journey alone. So thank you very, very much. Good evening, and I hope you have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you.
And thank you, Nishtha, for summing up the day for us and for setting the tone for our future efforts. Once again, on behalf of UN Women India and Asia Pacific, we'd like to thank all our speakers for giving their valued inputs and time, the jurists for their judgments, our winners for their participation, and last but not the least, our viewers for joining us on this momentous day. Thank you all. Stay safe and stay healthy.
न वक्त ने कहा रुकने के लिए, न कदमों ने कहा थमने के लिए, तो क्यों रुक जाऊं मैं जब चलते जाना मुझे पसंद है। इस जमीन पे मेरा भी हक है।
पलकों पे सपने सजाए चल पड़े हैं हम, देखना उम्मीदों को पंख लगाए उड़ रहे हैं हम, देखना हौसले भर दिल में अपने जीत जाएंगे, बंदिशें अब तोड़ सारी मुस्कुराएंगे। लो करते हैं वादा हम अपने आप से, मुझ पे मेरा ही हक है।